Should I get started or?
Yeah, you're good to go, buddy.
All right. Cool, cool. Okay, so just to what is this, part three? To add on to everything that we've learned. Um, Last time we talked about identifying a trend and also support and resistance lines. And a lot of times people will look at charts, right? And they won't understand, like, well, what are all these? Well, mine are blue instead of green just because I like blue. So, um, what candlestick patterns are, what it kind of means, and how you can kind of look into it and read into it, and then make a judgment call on which direction it's going. That way, you can either place a long or a short if you're trading this stuff. Okay. So today I'm going over candlestick patterns. Um, Candlestick patterns are pretty it's actually comes from like a Japanese rice trader. I'm not going to go into like the because no one really cares about where it came from, but it originated from a Japanese rice trader back in 1700. But I know everyone just cares about how number go up or how number go down and when Lambo. So we'll just stick to the good stuff. So, oops. So essentially, how to read a candlestick. Obviously, when you first see a candlestick, you see usually a body here. There's a high and a low, and this is where it opened, and this is where it closed. If it was in the green, okay, and that means it's a bullish candle. So that means that candle ended up higher than the previous candle. Okay, so in an example right here, and I like to look at ape just because it's pretty much the same. It follows very similar to the trend of Bitcoin and ETH and the general market, but because it's a lower cap coin, it's just a little bit more volatile and it moves a little quicker. So when I scalp, I usually use like pick like a trendy coin, which of course is ape right now. Okay, so that's how you kind of read a candlestick very briefly. The body is the middle, and then these are called wicks. Okay, these wicks will vary in size depending on which the direction that the market is going. Okay, so next, uh, okay, next thing we got here is a bullish engulfing pattern. So two candlestick bullish reversal pattern where the first candlestick is bearish and the second one is is a bullish candlestick covering the body of the previous bearish candlestick. So what essentially that means is this candle right here finished in the red, okay? And so it started right about here, okay? Now this next candlestick completely engulfs it. And what that means is it's like almost double the size of this. So what that could mean is that we're seeing a bit of a reversal. Okay, so that means you could essentially take a long at the next candle because this is confirming that it has a higher chance of moving forward. Sorry, and moving upward. Okay. And so it shows that obviously, like the Bulls are more in control, and that they're trying to move the market in this direction. And in this case, it's up. So there's more buyers than sellers. Now, obviously, each candlestick represents whatever time frame you're on, right? So when we talked about these, you could on TradingView, you could literally toggle from down to 1 minute or even to a day. So obviously, if you go to the day charts, your price action will be a much wider, just because like as we can see here, this wick came all the way up to 27.77 for ape, and the low was literally on the 11th at like $5.27. Okay. So that's a bullish engulfing pattern. Okay. The next one we got here is a piercing pattern. Okay. So this one is not as for these, it shows a potential of reversal, but um, not nearly as convincing as this one. Because obviously this one is like sellers are trying to push the price down, 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 and then what happened is like buyers stepped in because they probably liked the price here. It was probably a good support, or they just wanted that certain coin at that price, and then they started buying like crazy. So then this is a good indication for a bullish pattern. This is also an indication of a bullish pattern too. It's not as strong as the bullish engulfing. Um, the second candle is bullish, but it closes just above halfway. So when I trade, I like to look at halfway points. Okay. So if this candle was going all the way down and everyone was like, oh no, the price is going down, but then buyers stepped in and it closes the next candle above halfway. To me, now I'm not buying yet, I'm not longing, but at least I'm paying real close attention to the next candle. Okay, so let's see if we can find one here. Okay, so check this example on ape. Okay, so what we just talked about is that bullish engulfing candle. So quick pro tip, you can push replay here, okay, and then literally go back to this point. So it erases all of it, and you can back test all of your what you've charted out and kind of hypothetically thought of what the market's going to do. That way you can test your theories and see what the market is going to do. Okay, and then you just push play. Okay, so there you go. There is that bearish candle, right? And then the next one was this bullish engulfing candle. So obviously this is much more than halfway of this. And what do you know? The next candle is still going up a little bit. Okay. Obviously it runs into this moving average here, which you could quickly take profits if you were scalping it. Okay. Because we're on the 1 hour chart. If you're on the 15-minute chart, it could be moving a little quicker. Yeah, so that's a good example there. Okay. The next one that I want to talk about, and this is my favorite one. It's called the hammer. It's very easy to remember because it literally looks like a hammer. Okay. Um, and this is just a single candlestick pattern, which is a huge, huge wick right down here. So what that means is the bears or the sellers tried to push the price down as much as they could, but then bulls stepped in really quick within that same candle. So whatever time frame that is, then you can clearly see that within that time frame, like bulls stepped in heavy, and they really don't want that price going down. So for me, whenever I see one of these, I'm really, really paying attention to see where the next thing is. Sorry, the next candle is. So here, let's push that replay again. Let's go all the way back to here. So on that hour time frame, you see that this hammer right here, okay? So we had a long wick, okay? Right there, that long wick. And then we're like, okay, now we're paying attention. This one's still a bearish candle. It didn't close, so we're still paying attention. But if as long as this doesn't go all the way past what I consider the halfway point, then we're still paying attention. Now this next candle is a bullish one, it ends up in the green, or for me it's the blue. Now I'm like, okay, I might take a long now because that's, and then look kind of what happens. It's crazy.
Does it matter if a hammer pattern is, green or red? Does that affect the validity of the indicator in any way?
So that's a good question. What I would say is, for me, this looks like a hammer, okay? Because what that means is everyone is trying to push that price down, 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 down. Then they couldn't, even though it finishes in the red for that candle. Right now, I'm not paying it. I'm still sorry. I'm still paying attention to it, but I'm not longing or buying spot right away if I was trying to trade this. If this was a blue, then I would be like, okay, I'm probably gonna long like right here. If it closed like up here around this area, then I would probably long here. Okay, so you see this hammer. So now I'm paying attention. Brendan's paying attention. They tried to get it up, didn't work. So I'm like, okay, maybe my thought process is invalidated. And this candle comes, and what is this? What did we just see? A bullish engulfing candle engulfs this one, right? More than halfway. Now I would probably long right here, okay? And if you longed right there, oops, if you longed right there, and you can just take a quick scalp, 3.78%, you know, usually my scalps are on 10x, so it's like a 37% gain. So that's a quick scalp, and how I would have entered that one just for that example. Okay. Does that make this? Sorry, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, cool. Okay. Um, okay, next one. So this is called the Morning Star. Morning Star is a 3 candlestick, so there's 3 candles here. Bears tried to push it down, and then what this is called is a doji, which I'll touch on a little bit later. And then the next one is a big bullish candle. Okay, so what that means is you guys are probably getting the hang of it. Bears tried to push it down. They still tried to push it down, but now there's a wick, and then it finished here. So doji usually means indecision. I don't know what's going on. Boom, the next one is a big green candle. So you're like, okay, cool. So what my next entry would probably be is probably right here. So what that's called is like a breakout trade. It's probably breaking out. Now, of course, you don't want to just enter trades based off of candlestick patterns. But if there was like a resistance coming down this way and it just broke through something, now you could take your long and everything. So just a quick reminder that even though these patterns do play a big part in predicting the direction of the market, don't take it like just take it as like an extra confluence with everything else we've learned. So which is support, resistance, identifying a trend, and then moving averages, right? And then you throw in these candlestick patterns, and now you're like, okay, that's like another confirmation that it's gonna go into this direction. Okay. Next is pretty much the opposite, which is bearish candlestick patterns. Okay. First one is literally the opposite of a bullish engulfing pattern. This is just a bearish engulfing pattern. So same idea, right? Bulls tried to push it up, and look what happens. The bears push it all the way back down, and it passes and engulfs this entire candle. So it's much bigger than it. Okay, if you want to look at like even Jang talked about it too. Like look at how many you could probably see like where we're kind of heading, guys. So obviously, like here's the first bearish engulfing candle, and then let's say you took a short right there, or if you even had spot, and then you just took that trade, and you're like, okay, yeah, you could have saved even if we're at right now about 17%, or if you shorted it, cool. But there's an easy example right there. Let's check the weekly on Bitcoin too. Yeah. So obviously I have my levels set out and everything, but you can clearly see there's a lot of engulfing red candles. Like check this one right here. Obviously we're going down after that one. So those are just some quick examples. Okay. Cool. So next one is a dark cloud cover. Now, honestly, guys, like I know the names of these because I just look at it so often. But in all honesty, I will look at it and I'll kind of just know what it's gonna, well, predict what it's gonna do, as opposed to like you don't really need to know the name of it. Okay. So dark cloud cover is like it's just trying to visualize what it's doing. So obviously the bulls tried to push it up, and then this big dark cloud starts coming, crosses that halfway point. So now you're like, okay, it's not for sure gonna go down, but like now I'm really paying attention because this is like something to be wary about, right? So same thing as just in the bullish pattern, just flip the script. Okay, next one is the opposite of a hammer, just a shooting star. So what happens here? Bulls tried to push it all the way up. They're like, then they got either exhausted, so there's not enough new buyers to keep pushing the price up. And then bears take over, sell it all the way back down here. Okay. So a shooting star and a hammer are my favorite candlestick patterns, just because, like I said, it kind of, to me, is one of the strongest indicators for price action to where the price is going to go. So let's go back to ape. Okay, so you can even like, even though this candle, like right here, if you guys can see, this candle and finished in the blue, but again, it's like a shooting star. The star's all the way up. The shooting star pattern is right here, and then look what happens right after. Okay. And sure, everyone can be like, yeah, because you already know what's gonna happen, Brendan. I mean, like, come on. And then, so look at this. It's like 54% down from where it was. You could have shorted that, right? So to me, the hammer and the shooting star is probably my favorite candlestick patterns to go from, just because it's a very clear indication that, like, look, they tried to push it up. You could even say this is like cancels it out, tried to push it up again, and then boom, all the way back down, right? Okay. Evening star is the same thing. Bulls try as just the reverse of the bullish pattern. So bulls push it up, then there's a doji, and then it pretty much reversed the entire thing. So what this is, bulls tried to push it up, got exhausted, don't know what's going on here, and then it pushes it back down, and then you probably start a short position moving downward from there, right? Okay. Okay, so the next ones, which is what we're trying and we're literally praying for right now, is an indecision candlestick pattern, which we're printing a bunch of it right now with Bitcoin. Like, check this one. We moved all the way down to 26.4, and we pretty much finished it as a doji. So a doji, or what they call it, is like a spinning top or a dragon. No, not dragonfly. Sorry. So it's just called a doji or a spinning top, because that's what it looks like. This means neither the bears or the bulls are in favor. So it could go either which direction. So here's the doji. It literally just looks like a plus sign, because bulls tried to push it up, Bears tried to push it down, and it ended up just somewhere in the middle and doesn't close in any direction. So at this point, if the market was heading in this certain direction, boom, 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 Bitcoin's going down, 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 and then it hits here, a bunch of people would have longed right there, right? Because they're like, oh, we hit a doji, okay? And then you could take it along there. That's a little riskier. Where I would have longed personally would probably have been there. And I wouldn't have got all of my take profits because it didn't go. So it was just a bullish fake out. So what happened was, let's go run it through. Doji here. Bulls tried to push it up. Unsuccessful. Next day, bulls still tried to push it up. But because right here I have this this white box here, which I consider a support and resistance area, very high interest level. Once it closed above here, so it closed this candle above here, I probably would have put in a smaller long here, and then hopefully it's a breakout trade. And then once it goes a certain amount of percent, I would have moved my stop loss to in profit. And then, well, it would have came back down. So just especially in this market environment, like all you can really do is scalp, and only if you're pretty experienced in this market. Because look at this, look, what is this market doing? It's literally just doing nothing right now. It's staying in this area of interest, and then you could say that this is a quick deviation from this plan of like going down, down, down. Oh, doji could be a reversal. Nope, just kidding. We're just gonna consolidate here. And like, not financial advice, but we're probably, in my opinion, we could just bounce around here for a bit and then get that capitulation event, and the like, just market could tank. Or if we have some sort of general market bullish news, then we could use that as a catalyst moving forward. But let's just say it doesn't look that great right now. So if someone were going to ask me, I would say I'd lean a little bit lower, or at least one more drive downward. But if I were to say, if someone is telling you like, yo, we're printing a reversal, we're just going to reverse from here, 26K was the bottom, like we're just going to go up, like I definitely would not say that. I would strongly say no. We're either going to consolidate or we're going down. That's my guess. Guess. Okay. Not financial advice. Okay. Next one is the Dragonfly Doji. This is, the buyers are more in control with this one because what happened is the bears pushed it all the way down, and then the bulls push it all the way up. But it didn't finish with a strong body here, okay, to create a hammer. So in my opinion, you still don't kind of know where it's going, but you know at least that if it goes down to whatever this price area is, bulls will step in and pick up the coins at that price because it's obviously attractive enough for them. But I wouldn't confidently say, like, yes, I can go start along here because we need some sort of closing of the body of the green candle, and it'll look more like the hammer, right? Okay. And then obviously the reverse of that is the gravestone doji. This one is just the exact same thing, but opposite. Bears are pushing it down all the way, but it doesn't close with the shooting star pattern. Okay. So bulls are trying to push it up, and then get nothing, and then no fully closed candle body here. So I wouldn't say it's a very strong indication, but you would lean more bearish as opposed to bullish here. Okay. Few more. So this is a bullish harami. You don't really need to know the name. First one's a bullish candle with a long body. So there's tons of bulls stepping in. They want the price to go up. And then second body is a bearish candle, but it only ends up to there. So likely it's not the bears are trying to push it down, but that's as far as they could get. So most likely I would still be watching it, but the next candle will probably start moving up. And then if there, let's say a candle closed above right here, I would probably open a long right here. Okay. And then just the reversal, bearish harami, same thing. Bears push it all the way down. Bulls tried to step in. This is as far as they get. You don't even get to that halfway point. Have a small bullish drive. And then what happens is if this next candle from here starts going red and closes right here, I would probably enter a position to short it. Okay. Okay. Cool. So pretty much that is most of the patterns that we have for candlesticks. I know it's a lot of information, but I'm sure we can make this a little bit more, a resource for the monks. I'll figure that out with stags or something to somehow get everyone all this good stuff. But does anyone have any questions about anything? The general market could be anything, or even anything about candlesticks.
Does the time frame like 15-minute versus an hour affect the sort of confidence you have in a particular pattern when it's drawn out? Like if you see a morning star on a 15-minute as opposed to an hour or a day, does that affect it in some way as far as your confidence that it might play out the way you expect?
Yeah, good question. So for me, obviously, it all really just depends, honestly, on your time frame and what you're trading in. So obviously, for like people who are investing spot or just buying Bitcoin right now, like for me, this this could be this could be a good buying point, like right here, because I saw this kind of like this doji, so which means it could be a reversal, and it's on the day chart. Whereas 1, 3, and 5 minutes, I'm sure like you could see these being printed, but like unless you're really scalping it really quickly, like you have to be really quick, right? So for example, look, this one is like a fake out too, because look, you had the hammer, then you have a bullish engulfing, so you could have taken a long there, but like we're on the 1 minute chart, so shit moves so quickly, right? For me, I don't really touch 1 minutes. I'll usually do 15s if I'm scalping. But yeah, so it really just depends on your time horizon and what you're trying to do. But if you listen to all of the traders out there, they're usually just looking at the day charts, okay? Just because they want to see the general direction of the entire market, and obviously they'll chart Bitcoin um, on the daily, the weekly, and the monthly to get a feel of where the market's going. So if we're on the weekly here, like check this, look how many touches it's had here in this area. You could say that the bulls are trying to get back up here. So what we're doing, we're not doing anything yet, Okay, we're just watching, and then this is like we got 3 more days for this candle to close. So if this candle were to close probably like around this area, okay, around if this were to close up above here around the 32K area, I'd maybe consider opening a swing long or buying some spot because you could say, right, you could go off of the simple candlestick pattern that bears tried to push it down further, but bulls stepped in. But you would have to close the week up above here before you go long. If we don't get above that 32-ish mark, like I haven't even charted below where we are right now, but we could very well be going down. So it kind of, to answer your question, it really just depends on if you're scalping, which is like on the 15, like the 5, 15, 30, even 1 hour time frames, or if you're swinging it, which is could be like on the 4 hours, okay? Or if you're just buying and holding, then you can just go to the week. And most people will use the 4 hour and onward to kind of get a general sense of the direction of the market, right? And this is one thing that really it took a while for me to just wrap my head around, which is I was like, okay, if everyone is on the 4 hour chart and everyone thinks this too, why isn't everyone just, rich too? Because everyone sees this. They can see that it's probably printing a reversal because it's a hammer. And if everyone learned all these patterns still, then why isn't everyone just long here? But it's just like, why do people buy NFTs at 1 ETH and sell it for 0.1 ETH later? Like, people are just, emotions mess with your mind so much, which I think, and I'll go over this later on, I think the psychological warfare is more than half the battle in trading. Like, all of this technical analysis makes sense, but as soon as you have money on the line, you're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I don't even know what to do. It's like you forget everything. So that was like a super long-winded answer to your question, Fire.
Thank you.
Question for you, Taco. How do you feel about utilizing TA on NFT charts?
That would make sense, but and I like I got some alpha sharks too, but I haven't gone into it. But the only reason why I wouldn't do that yet is because NFTs are probably one of the highest speculative assets out there. So they're very highly based off of fundamental analysis, which is pretty much the fancy way of just saying news. So say if they got an airdrop coming, like Bored Ape had the other side, like all that stuff will like completely blow any TA about it. And you could say Bored Ape Yacht Club is a blue chip project, right? Um, but then you could have seen like price action like hover around the 100 ETH area, and then imagine Bored Ape 100 ETH was around here, and then all of a sudden they announced like the other side, other deed thing, and it's like they'll just blast off because it's just news based. So NFTs, in my opinion, are it can work in some aspects, but I think just for NFTs, especially like some of the projects I have, when it gets below, like if it's been above 1 ETH and now we're in NFT bear, if it goes below 1, a lot of people will step in and buy it. So you could say, yeah, that's a good support, 1 ETH for that specific project. And then if it breaks through, then it's just going to keep going down. So in that sense, you can use it to TA it. But for me, I would just be using it as like support resistance. Like if you charted this all as like candlesticks or a trend line, like I don't think any of that yet because NFTs are way too new. Where at least Bitcoin's been around for like years, right? Whereas NFTs really have just hit the market like now. Dope, dope. Does anyone have any other questions? Would love to have a copy to study this. Yeah, for sure. I'll probably make it into like a PDF so it's easier for people to get and everything. Um, but I'll talk to Stags and figure out how to get that to the monks, or if there's like a resource area we could use it.
Is this being recorded right now?
Yep.
Gotcha. Thank you.
It'll be in the. Yeah, Stag says it'll be in the holder recordings.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Most of the ones that we do now, I think trying to record every single one of them, so they'll all be on WAP.
Sweet.
I believe. Is that right, Henry?
Okay, cool. Any other questions? I know, like, I just dropped like a bunch of. I don't think that these candlestick patterns are easy to understand. What I would say, everyone, is to, if you take into account, let's go to a cleaner chart here. Fuck, that's not clean. So if you put into use the stuff that we all learned, which is support, resistance, identifying the trend, and then even the candlestick pattern, just use this fancy thing on your trading view, which is the replay button, and you can just hit that replay button and just go anywhere, right? And then you can just change the speed, push play, and then do whatever you can guess what was going to happen. So obviously, like, after this big thing, bears are in control, and especially if it broke out of this white box that we created as an area of interest for support and resistance, then you're probably like, oh, we're probably going to either chill here or probably going to break down more, right? So we're just use all of the stuff that we've learned and then just put it into effect, and then you just back test it. Just back test. If you don't want to take trades just yet, right? And most importantly, again, everything is about risk management. So I know, like, if you look at all these and it looks really obvious, you could be like, oh, well, it's doing this. It's Taco told me this is a doji, so this makes sense. It's at a support, so it's probably reversing here. But you know what? Like, if you want to go ahead with TA and trading and scalping and anything and using it to get a better price point in terms of your long holdings, like, you got to just do it. Like, if you want to practice, you just got to do it. As much as all of this will start to make sense, until you literally push the green button that says buy or the red button that says sell, like, there's no other way of getting good at it besides just doing it. And like I said, like, the psychological warfare inside your own brain, once you have your own money on the line, as opposed to either paper trading or you're trading in the dollars instead of hundreds or thousands, you'll never get to the point of becoming a profitable trader or wanting to do this on a more of a full-time scale unless you actually just do it, right? So the psychological part is, I'd say, about 70% of the game. So yep. Cool. Anyone else got questions? Or yeah, exactly. It's like poker. It's the price of tuition. Honestly, if like I've lost less money than $50,000, which is what I paid for post-secondary. Like I have like an English major, and it's not like I'm using my English major to write anything on these charts, right?
At least you don't make spelling mistakes when you type.
Actually, that's funny because when I was talking to Fire the other day, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I literally told him I was like an English major. I was like, "Yeah, my English major is not showing right now, but I just believe me that I'm half decent at it still."
D is for degree, right?
That's that's all. That's all it means. I got the fancy framed, bachelor's degree for mom and dad, so they didn't think I was a failure. Now I trade internet money, uh,
And
and
now
they
they
think
think
it's
you're a
not.
failure.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly.
think you're a failure. They think you're a loser instead. Don't worry, bro.
No, he's a
we're all
loser, but
there.
he bought us this fucking Lexus, so whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, that's the game plan, right? Like, I'm like, I've been doing okay, and then I just want to, because my parents just think like, oh, Brendan just looks at these red and green charts all day, and then try explaining them when you're, instead of looking at red and green candles, you're looking at like cartoon animal pictures.
Oh
Oh
Christ.
yeah. One extreme to the other.
Yeah,
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 it just gets worse and worse, right?
yeah, yeah. So you just gotta, one day show up and be like, yo, mom and dad, yeah, don't worry about your house mortgage because it's done. Because I took that care of that. My magical internet money is the one that paid for it, though. So, yeah.
Good luck
Funny though, 'cause
explaining to your
everyone's
dad that crypto dick butts are profitable.
Mom, I made $1,000 off dick butts. Like,
Yeah.
does anyone have any other TA questions, or we could, I guess we could wrap things up.
got nothing for you.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks for doing
Well,
this, bro. It was
yeah.
a good one, this one.
Yeah, but a lot of technical stuff. I know it can get pretty dry sometimes, but just use the reference point that we'll send out to everyone, and then just back test everything that we've learned, and then I'll be on again in 2 weeks. Be back in the office so we don't have any internet problems. But yeah, I don't know exactly if you guys have any feedback and stuff specifically that you want to learn to add on top of it, just either you could put it in the chat, that way I can see, um, or like you can hit me up on Twitter because I'll check that. And yeah, I mean, if you have a quick question besides when Moon, when Lambo, like I'm 100% like here for the community, and I love talking crypto and just chatting about it anyway. So I'd rather talk to you guys instead of having my wife have to sit through me talking about it all the time.
So Taco will be back in 2 weeks because next week we've got a already packed event schedule. And we're going to be doing the weapons AMA at this time next week. So we will see you in 2 weeks, Taco.
Sounds good. I'm stoked for those weapons.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yep. Pretty excited for that too.
He's stoked to into the game and the throats of every Shuhari member.
Yeah, but don't fuck with Henry, or he'll screw us over. He's got that top.
Henry's in the OG gang in the Sohai. We are homies.
That was possibly the whitest fucking thing you could have said.
Yeah, that's fair.
We are homies. Pass the mayonnaise. It's been a long day. I apologize.
Be
Oh,
coming for you
shit.
first, Shinto.
Yo, I'm an eternal, bro.